If you want to become an insane fragger in Fortnite, then you need to follow the 6 fundamentals I'll give you in this video. If you follow not just 3 or 4, but all 6 fundamentals, then you will become a better fragger. And it's important that you're good at every single one of them, not just a few of them. I'll also talk about how you can improve your fighting fast at the end of the video. But before we get into the fundamentals, I want to address something that I see being completely misunderstood in almost every Fortnite improvement video. A lot of people will tell you that you can either be a passive fragger or an aggressive fragger, but this is completely wrong. Yes, you might naturally lean towards one style. Some people prefer to play passive, whereas others like to play aggressive and W key, and that's fine. But if you can only do one of these things, you are limiting yourself as a fragger, and you'll never be a pro level fighter. A truly great fragger can do both, and they know exactly when to switch between them. That skill is called tempo switching, and it's massively underrated. Tempo switching is about reading the fight and adjusting instantly. The moment you have the health advantage, you should be applying maximum pressure and closing out the fight before they can heal, and just as fast as possible. The moment you're weak, you'll probably have to play defensive. You box up, you look for counter damage, you heal if you can, and you wait for your opponent to make a mistake. And here's what people get wrong about playing defensive. It doesn't mean you're not making plays. You can still pre-fire someone who's being aggressive on your wall. You can still set up for a play the moment they make a mistake, but playing defensive is about controlling the pace, looking for counter damage, looking to counter your enemy's mistakes, and not giving up on the fight. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're low and your opponent is pushing you hard. You box up in a 2x1, never a 1x1, and you get your heals off before they reach your box. Then they start pickaxing your wall, they get impatient, and they go for a bad peek. That's a mistake. The second that happens, you shoot them from a protected peek and get counter damage. Now you flip the health advantage completely, so now you go aggressive. If you've got a major health advantage and can't get one pumped, you close the fight out fast by just jumping in their box. That's a tempo switch. You force them into a bad play by being patient, then punish them instantly the moment they made a mistake. The key skill underneath all of this is spotting mistakes quickly and punishing them even faster. The best fraggers in the world don't win fights because they outbuild or out-edit their opponents every time. They win because they recognize the moment an opportunity opens up and they end the fight before the opponent even has a chance to fight back. Now, before we get into the specific fundamentals, you need to understand what you're actually supposed to be doing as a fragger, because a lot of players get this wrong. Your main job as a fragger is to get kills and refreshes in the endgame and to rack up damage for Storm Surge. That's the core of it, but there's more to it than just going and finding refreshes. You're also responsible for watching the back of zone. Like, while your IGL is tarping front side, you need to have eyes on what's coming from behind, and you're the one closing off the back of the tarp. Like, if your IGL rotates and builds a tarp but doesn't place a back wall, you need to place that wall, as this makes sure that no one can sneak up in the back of your tarp and ruin your game. But you also need to call out what you see. Like, if you spot a refresh opportunity, you call it. If you get a knock, you call it. If you can see someone walking up to pre-edit you, you call it. Communication as a fragger is way more important than people give it credit for. And if your IGL is weak or needs to heal, for example, you need to be able to take over and start tarping ahead, for example. So you need to be confident that you can take over instantly, even if it's a few seconds, because otherwise you'll end up hesitating, and in the end game, just 2 seconds of hesitating can cost you the game. That's part of the role too. Understanding all of this before we get into the fundamentals matters, because everything else we're going to talk about fits into this framework. The next fundamental is the one that most fraggers at every level are getting completely wrong, and it's probably the main reason why you're not converting the end games you should be winning. So I'll break it down right after this. But first, if you're serious about improving fast and placing better in tournaments, you need to know about snapping. Snapping is an AI coaching tool for Fortnite that watches your gameplay, finds your weaknesses, and keeps track of all your biggest weaknesses, then builds personalized routines built around your weaknesses and time limit. So you finally stop making the same mistakes costing you bad tournament placements. You also get 24/7 coaching coaching from Snapping's AI coach, which is trained on over 200 pro strategies, has analyzed over 1,000 pro scrims, and knows all of your weaknesses, tournament placements, and goals. So you can ask it anything and it will give you the best possible answer you can get, whether it's how to improve your fighting or even the best places to look for refreshes in the endgame. So if you're serious about improving your tournament placements, click the link in the description and get snapping. But now let's go over refreshes. This is one of the most important things you'll do as a fragger, and there's a lot more to it than just go and find a kill. Let's start with pre-edits, because pre-edits are genuinely one of the most efficient ways to get a refresh in the endgame, and the reason they work so well is that they're fast and they catch people off guard. By the time your opponent processes what just happened, you've already taken the shot. So always look for people that are unaware, or even better if they're unaware and also healing. So you can call your IGL and make the pre-edit play to catch them off guard. And either you or your IGL can call that there's a pre-edit opportunity, but the actual pre-edit should be assigned to one specific person ahead of time, which is usually just whoever has the better ping in game. That way, the moment anyone on the team calls it, you both know instantly who's doing what. There's no hesitation or confusion, you just make the play instantly and catch the enemy off guard. Now, before every single rotate, both you and your IGL should be calling out your mats to each other so you both know what you each have. And this sounds small, but it's not, because if you know you're going into a rotate low on mats, you know that you need to find a refresh before or during that rotation, and you just know whether it would be good to look for a refresh or not, or if you're stacked and there isn't even a point in looking for a refresh and risking taking any damage or losing mats or something. Another way to get refreshes is looking back zone. This is crucial to know as a fragger, as the backside of zone is where people are sneaking around, where solos are trying to survive, where duos are unaware and scuffed and just trying to rotate and stuff like that. So these are the kills that are there for the taking if you're actually watching. Most fraggers spend too much time looking at the same side as their IGL, but when you need a refresh, it's a lot easier to get one if you have awareness of the whole lobby. Another way to get refreshes is by cutting people off. Like if you see someone rotating through the backside of zone, you don't chase them, you get ahead of them. Please control the spot they're about to walk into, and they'll be full box so you can easily get the kill and call that to your IGL. This can be a super free way to get a refresh by just simply catching someone off guard. Now, something that often gets ignored is that sometimes the dead side of zone is not where you should be. Like if you're low on loot, if you need surge, or maybe even both, the dead side is going to make getting a refresh or getting damage for surge a lot harder, and you're probably not going to find easy kills there, so you want to be where the people are. More chaos means more opportunity to catch someone off guard. Dead side zone is for when you're in a good spot and you're trying to play smart, or if you already have enough loot to get a good placement that game. If you're desperate, sometimes positioning yourself where there are lots of other players is how you can get that refresh you need, and then you can try and claim the dead side. And finally, communication. Like if you see a refresh opportunity and you're a solo against a duo, don't just run at it if you don't have to. Call your IGL over. Two people taking a fight against a solo or even a duo is a lot easier to win. But awareness is what makes every other fundamental possible, because if you don't know what's around you, you can't tempo switch properly, you can't spot refresh opportunities, you can't protect the back of your tarp, you can't listen to your IGL effectively, and you're not going to be able to capitalize on opportunities when they come because you just won't see them in the first place. The simple version, you need to be looking around constantly, not sitting in a cone staring at a wall, actually looking around, tracking where teams are, noticing who's close and what they're doing. And there's two things to watch for specifically. One, when you need a refresh, look at the congested side or back zone. That's where the most opportunities are. Two, watch people lining up pre-edits on you. Like if someone walks up to your wall, builds up to it, or pulls out their blueprints whilst approaching, they're probably going to try and pre-edit you. Call it immediately and move, create boxes behind or something like that. Or maybe even wait for them to pre-edit and then pre-fire them with your duo as they pre-edit you. But only do that if you're really desperate for surge or refresh, because obviously that plays a little risky. Now this next one sounds simple, but it's where where a lot of fraggers cost themselves games, and it's just following your IGL. Even if you think they're making the wrong call in the moment, hesitating is almost always worse than just committing, because if you delay a rotate because you're second guessing them, you end up late, separated, and suddenly you're both fighting out of position, and you're just going to end up in a worse spot than if you just trusted your IGL. If you genuinely think they made a mistake, say something, but after the game, or maybe even after the tournament, but in the moment, be ready to follow your IGL. Now, pretty much all of this falls apart if you can't fight. So let's talk about how to actually improve your fighting as a fragger. The single most important thing you can do is fight the best players available to you as often as possible. Not players worse than you, not players at your exact level, players better than you. This is something I keep coming back to because most people don't actually do it. They talk about wanting to improve, but they keep playing against opponents they can't beat comfortably and then wonder why they're not getting better. When you play against someone better, two things happen. First, you actually get punished for your mistakes. If you make a bad peak against someone worse, you get away with it. Against someone better, you die. That feedback loop is what forces real improvement, and for getting good practice against good players, you want to get into the highest scrim division possible for your region and play 1v1s or 2v2s with your duo against good players. And I assume most people watching will have decent mechanics, so the most important thing is to build a mechanics routine around your specific weaknesses. Like if your piece control is what's letting you down, that's what you practice in your warm-up. Target the things that's actually costing you fights, not the thing that you're already good at. So don't just copy a random routine on YouTube, because that isn't going to be personalized to you. Now, if you want the best possible routines built for you, or you just want to improve as fast as possible, become the best fragger, or go pro in Fortnite, don't forget to check out Snapping by clicking the link in the description or the pinned comment. But before you go, make sure to like and subscribe and click this video on the screen if you want to learn more about how you can improve. Thank you so much for watching.